everyone, my name is Xenia and today we're talking about AEW All In at Wembley Stadium, officially the biggest event in the history of professional wrestling. I would like us honestly to just start this video by taking it in, because the biggest event in the history of professional wrestling happened in our lifetime. We have witnessed it. Some of us were, to one extent or another, a part of it, and I was official media at Wembley Stadium for AEW, and it's nothing but an absolute honor to have been a part of this event. And AEW made us feel so welcomed, fed us, gave us great seats for the show, and it was just an absolute honor, an absolute dream come true, I'm sure, for a lot of people who were present, not just me, to be a part of AEW All In at Wembley. We have the official recorded attendance of 81,035 people, and that is just paying attendance. So that's people who bought tickets. There was also a couple thousand comps, there was also a couple thousand staff. So from what I'm hearing, overall, there was over 91,000 people in the stadium present at the moment of the show, which is absolutely incredible, absolutely unmatched, and just a historic event to witness and to be a part of. This is a record, the highest recorded paid attendance for a pro wrestling event. Not just in Europe, not just in this era, ever, which is absolutely amazing, absolutely crazy. So AEW definitely changed the world, and they keep changing the world, and Tony Khan absolutely changed the face of pro wrestling. So I would just like to start this video by saying this is amazing, and by saying thank you to AEW for having us and for providing this absolute core memory. If you guys don't mind, I would also like to have a bit of a lyrical moment, because my reason for how excited I was feeling about the show also was that I actually started watching pro wrestling in London. I was 11 years old in 2007. I started watching pro wrestling, and it's just an absolutely incredible full circle moment. When at 11 years old I accidentally found pro wrestling on TV and started watching it, you could never tell me, and you could never have me believe that I would be official media at Wembley Stadium for the biggest pro wrestling show ever. So this is just great for me. And let's talk about the importance of this. While the show was not the first time that AEW have gone international, we know that they had a pretty significant Canada loop, not once but twice, and this is definitely not the first time AEW have ventured out of the United States, but this is the first time them going across the pond. This is the first time them leaving the continent, which is in itself very important. And Tony Khan did mention at the press scrum that he didn't bring Dynamite or Rampage or Collision to the UK before All In, because it was really important to have that very first debut show be that huge show. So it was really important to make a good first impression. We all know that you can only make a first impression once, and I honestly think that was the exact right decision, and it was a great way to debut AEW in the UK.
I didn't think it would be appropriate for this week, because I really felt strongly that the debut of AEW in London, the debut of AEW in the UK, and the debut of AEW in Europe should be here tonight. This had to be the first show. A lot of people asked me about putting Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision in the UK or in Europe ahead of this event. Logistically, might have made sense in some ways, except for the fact that I believe a huge part of the milestone and the energy of tonight was that it was the first time ever.
AEW is on TV in the UK, and of course we have Bleacher Report, and of course we have a pretty huge AEW presence in the UK, so the crowd was hungry, the people were ready, there were a lot of fans from all over the world, and this was definitely a special event. But I also want to circle back to how we have seen people from all over the world traveling to see AEW and RH previously to come into the United States. But this event, from what we know and from what we hear, and from what Tony Khan actually announced at the press conference after the show, All In is coming back to London next year, so start planning the trip now, and hopefully this is going to become a yearly thing, a yearly event, and a great tradition for AEW to have.
It is the beginning of something special, hopefully, for many years to come. As we announced, AEW will return here to Wembley Stadium in 1 year. We'll be back on the bank holiday Sunday again.
We had an absolutely massive card lined up for that show, just an absolute show of a lifetime type of card, dream match type of card for a lot of people. And a lot of people were worried about how AEW was going to pull off 2 major pay-per-views pretty much in the span of 1 month or less, with All Out coming right after All In. Spoiler alert, All Out was also an amazing show, but that's not what we're talking about today. For me, it was an absolute pleasure to talk to the fans also prior to the show, because Wembley is an absolutely huge, historic, iconic venue, and for a lot of people, Wembley in itself holds a lot of significance, so it was great to see what the atmosphere was like before the show. We mostly stationed ourselves on Olympic Way, the main street where the crowds were coming into the stadium, and just the sight of that was an absolutely incredible experience, and being in the thick of it is definitely a fan experience in itself. And there was a bunch of pre-parties, so everyone was taken care of. The fans were absolutely buzzing. We are in London, England. Behind me is the Wembley Stadium, and we are here tonight to witness a historic event that is going to be All Elite Wrestling. We are about to become a part of something great as we walk into the biggest event in the history of pro wrestling in Europe. FTR taking on the Young Bucks, and of course MJF is putting his AEW World Heavyweight Championship on the line against Adam Cole. 80,000 seats, huge crowd, people from all over the world. Fans could not be more excited, so let's go check. I'm here with
Richard,
Andrea,
Good.
and Matteo.
Danny,
Jamal.
And we're not gonna pretend like I don't know.
I know.
He's a dear friend.
She knows everybody, though. That's the thing.
Hardy. You can call me Dick Hardy.
Okay.
I've never been to Wembley Stadium before, so I'm so excited. It's like,
It's my first AEW show. I've gone to lots of indie promos.
So I'm actually from Chicago, Illinois. So obviously once we're done here, I go back home and it's another party because we're going to All Out.
Yeah.
So
It was a very busy week ahead.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, man. All in. It's gonna be a great time.
It's like a dream because when we were a child, we want to see one show together, and we never see. So this one is the first time we can see.
Of course we are. We've been waiting 4 years for this. They're finally here, so we've been waiting long enough. We're happy AEW's finally arrived. So yeah, this is it. We're all in. So is London. So let's go.
What's your one big expectation for tonight? Who's gonna win a title or who's gonna appear? What do you want to see?
Man, the whole show is going to be all in. It's going to be great. So,
Absolutely.
and yeah, of course, I'm looking forward to the Coffin Match.
all right, so in my head, might be wrong, actually I'm wrong. Jamie Hayter's gonna come back. She's gonna take out Brick. Thunder Rosa's gonna come back and take out Tony, and then Ruby is gonna spray paint Sheeta in the face because Ray's gonna take the win. That's what I'm thinking.
I would like to see Bryan Danielson show up. Even if he's just, even with his broken arm, just to show up and just be like, do the final countdown and then leave. That would be amazing.
It's a very elaborate prediction.
I know. I've been sat really thinking about this one.
And also to sing Jericho's Judas. Yeah, of course.
Of course.
The entire place is going to go mental for that.
I didn't think that far because she I'm more the in the moment type person though, but I really have to hear a Jamie Hayter pop. I mean, just 80,000 plus, just hear that pop. It's gonna be absolutely insane. We need some Jamie Hayter appearance, run in, something.
Yeah.
We need something.
Jamie Hayter. People have spoken.
Everything. And being among these 80,000 people, it's going to be crazy. And AEW. Thank you, Tony Khan.
We found a very convincing Sting. Oh my God, it's Sting! He's here!
It's showtime, baby.
You're here in Wembley. It's a huge night. How are you?
30 years in history making. Woo!
Woo!
Woo! Woo!
And we also did find some pretty convincing young bucks who had traveled across the world, or across Europe for that show. And to be completely honest with you, the young bucks cosplayers we found off of Olympic Way kind of chased them because their costumes were really cool. So I was like, let's just run after them, kind of a little bit, in a non-threatening way. They were fine with it. So we have very dressed up, excited people of the Young Bucks here, actually. Are the Young Bucks your favorite?
Yes, not the only one, but yes. yeah.
It's Jericho.
Who's Jericho?
Sí.
Okay.
Yeah, or Kenny Omega also. We are from Italy, from La Spezia, and we traveled yesterday. We arrived in London, we stayed one night, and today we go to Berlin. And tomorrow we come back home. So only for Ole.
What made you guys want to travel to a different country for the show? Why?
Oh, because it's our dream to see the show together. So we decide when the tickets go out, the first day we buy. Okay, we go to London.
And another group of people that show was absolutely super important to is, of course, the talent that came out of the UK. Of course, Saraya, of course, Will Ospreay, and we're definitely going to get into this as we progress with this video. So let's look at the card and the results. We had an absolutely massive pre-show, absolutely massive 0 hour, and I usually don't talk about 0 hour in as much detail, but this pre-show is definitely worth mentioning. It was super fun, of course, hosted by the wonderful Russell Ants, aka RGCT, and Renee Paquette. Amazing duo, but we did have a pretty important match on 0 hour. The match for the ROH World Tag Team Championships, where Team Better Than You, Bebe, aka MJF, and Adam Cole took on Aussie Open, a pretty freshly crowned champion duo also. And MJF and Adam Cole did wrestle twice that night, both of them, first time for the ROH Tag Team Championships and second time against each other for the main World Heavyweight Championship, which is also quite a tiring workday for a wrestler to have, so I commend them just for that. But the way that Better Than You, Baby, are so incredibly over with the crowd, they're just so universally, and we can say universally because we're in a different country on a different continent, adored. It's a phenomenon. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely an insane reaction to have when you were performing at this scale of the show. And not to get ahead of myself, but at the press scrum after the show, I did ask MJF if it was his intention to come into this huge show garnering this positive reaction. Here's what he said. Hi, Xenia from Xenia Did That. Congratulations on the absolutely spectacular main event. MJF, tonight the crowd was probably the most behind you and rooting for you the most than ever in your career before. Was that a goal for you coming into Wembley? Was the positive crowd reaction something that you were looking for?
It's never been a goal for me to get people to like me in my life. I'm starting to freaking dig it, though. I mean, I'm being honest. Listen, you were in there with me. I was getting... Downstairs was getting a little, they were chanting my name loud. It was awesome. And I'm falling in love with it more and more. Look, like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm a scumbag, but I'm ready to be everybody's scumbag. I'm ready to be your scumbag, and I'm digging it, man. I'm having fun, and God, does it feel great to be over. I love it. I love being the most over MFer in wrestling right now. It's the best.
So it's completely effortless, completely natural from what you guys can see. In that match, MJF and Adam Cole garnered the victory. They were crowned the new ROH Tag Team Champions, which actually fed into the absolute intrigue that the main event was, because now they were united by these tag titles, which solidified them once again, yet again, as a tag team, right before they have to go against each other and give their all to defeat each other. So that definitely fed into that complicated dynamic. So it was a great way to start the show because it referenced the main event directly, and it made the fans question even more and be even more excited for the main event. Then we had the FTW Championship match. Jack Perry, former Jungle Boy, I almost said Jungle Boy, you caught me there, versus Hook. And I guess the FTW Championship is now officially a championship in AEW, and Hook, in front of the huge crowd, got his title back. An absolutely brutal match, so many huge moments. Of course, the moment with the car and with the windshield and with the broken glass, and just an absolutely brutal bout. I expected no less from Jack Perry, but even more so Hook, because throughout that rivalry, we have seen Hook so eager to finally get his hands on Jack Perry, to finally deliver a proper beating to his former friend, which is exactly what happened, and it was very satisfying to watch, I'm sure, for the crowd also. It felt like, the FTW Championship is back where it belongs, back in the hands of someone who truly deserves it and someone who truly represents it greatly with their presentation and with their in-ring style, because I keep saying that Hook's in-ring style is absolutely incredible, very heavily influenced by martial arts, I would say, by jiu-jitsu for sure, by a very classic grappling style, just very innovative, incredible to watch, and I'm sure we have Taz to thank for that, partially, of course, the father of Hook and someone who definitely, brought him into wrestling and brought him into AEW. So Hook has been an absolute phenomenon to watch, and I feel like I say that every time, but I feel like it still could be more. Hook still could get more opportunities, more bigger matches, and I'm hoping that we're going to see this in the near future. But yeah, and great match and great brawl, if you will, and the FTW Championship is back in the hands of Hook. Then we had the real World Championship match, CM Punk versus Samoa Joe, which for old school ROH lovers, this is the match for sure that they'd expected out of that show. CM Punk getting very mixed reactions, Samoa Joe being an absolute brutal power that he usually is, and yet CM Punk still getting very clean, very credible victory out of this match. Blood, sweat, tears, absolutely brutal, and like I said, for someone who loves ROH, this is definitely something evocative of so many things, and this is definitely the classic matchup. But also both CM Punk and Samoa Joe have experience working huge arenas, and if there's a big match person who can handle it, who can handle the pressure, it would definitely be CM Punk and Samoa Joe, as split as the reaction was. And for Samoa Joe, the reaction was, of course, not split. Everyone loves Samoa Joe, Joe chants, everything. But like I said, for a wrestling lover, an absolute delight to watch a true wrestling match, no less. And we know that CM Punk has been released from the company since, and because of an incident that happened at All In, and I don't want to talk about that too much because ultimately this show was such a celebration of wrestling, and it's just a shame to try and tarnish it with something, but also try and divert attention from how great of a show it was and how iconic of an event for pro wrestling worldwide it was, by someone's personal conflicts. So let's not do that. Tony Khan had already delivered a speech later on in Chicago about what happened, about how he handled the situation, and if I do say anything, I would like to say that Tony Khan has always handled situations as such incredibly professionally, incredibly gently, incredibly wisely. So I do think AEW are doing such a great job at, handling things like that, and it was handled. So let's just leave it at that. Then we had the Golden Elite versus Bullet Club Gold, very, very golden themed match.
What's the one match that you guys are the most excited for today? Besides the women's match in Saraya, I'm a huge Kenny Omega fan, she knows. My dog is called Kenny.
It's been incredible to see Ibushi in AEW more, and I wish they would do a little bit more with him in AEW. I'm not sure what the status is or whether it's something he wants, but the reunited Golden Lovers thing has been absolutely incredible, and I know that a lot of people have felt so excited about it. So it's amazing that we get to witness that. Of course, a very heavily New Japan Pro Wrestling influenced match. There's a lot of history there. Both Kenny Omega and Jay White are former champions in New Japan, and of course Kota Ibushi as well, and just very, very decorated wrestlers. And Jay White did bring the tenacity of Bullet Club into AEW, and it's a new branch, it's a new part of said faction, which is possibly the biggest, most long-running, most known, most recognizable faction in the whole entire world in wrestling. So it was great that it did get represented at All In and actually picked up the win. Bullet Club Gold have been on an absolute roll. They got to win at All In, they got to win at All Out over the Bucks and FTR, and they've been finally showing that they're ready, they're there, they're playing by their own rules, and they're finally going to dominate the promotion as they usually do. Or are they? We don't know, but they are on the path to absolute domination, which I've been enjoying a lot. I really enjoy Jay White's in-ring style, and I do really enjoy Bullet Club in almost all of its shapes and forms, like any wrestling lover probably does. Definitely not great to see Kenny Omega lose in any way, shape, or form also. But I almost feel like in this match it came to the question of an immovable object versus an unstoppable force. Something had to give, and Bullet Club did come out on top. Not to mention Takeshita picking up that win and then picking up another win over Kenny Omega is absolutely building him to be a huge star in AEW. And of course, there's a lot of Don Callis' input in there, and they were at the press conference, and Don Callis did mention and let us know that they do not care how the fans feel, they do not care whether they're entertaining or not, they just care about being ruthless, being aggressive, being violent, and like I said, absolutely building Takeshita as a power to reckon with.
I'm not in the business of entertaining people or popping people. I don't care about any of that. I am in the business of psychologically and mentally dominating people. So what that means is I don't need to have music. I don't want people to be happy because I don't care. The fans are great, but to me, they are just things like a bottle cap or an insect.
Then we had one of the most anticipated matches of the night, the AEW Tag Team Championship, Young Bucks versus FTR.
The Young Bucks versus, yeah. I want to see the Young Bucks win.
So I'm looking forward to seeing the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega fight in the UK.
We all know the old tweets that each tag team had put out years ago that said, one day we will wrestle each other and the world will rejoice, and the world did rejoice. Surely it was a long path to that match, and there were different hurdles that stood in front of that match, but I think I speak for pretty much any wrestling fan in the world saying that we are so happy that this match did happen, and it was an absolute classic. It was maybe arguably for a lot of people the best match of the night. It was an absolutely incredible showcase of tag team pro wrestling, which is exactly what those both teams stand for and are the best at it. Literally, I think a lot of people would agree that either FTR or the Young Bucks are the best tag team in the whole world. And FTR did come out on top, did offer a handshake to the Young Bucks to show respect, to seal the deal, to end this historic match on a good note. The Young Bucks did refuse the handshake, so we are seeing that rivalry continue. And if it does continue forever, no one will be mad at that, let me just tell you that. So yeah, an absolutely incredible match to be able to say you have witnessed live. And then we had my favorite match of the night, Stadium Stampede. BCC and friends versus best friends and friends. You guys know that I absolutely love anything that has to do with running around the arena, causing ruckus. That's just my favorite type of a match, and I just cannot help myself. And I was incredibly excited for that match because you guys also know that I am very partial to best friends. So I was holding out hope that they will win this match. And again, getting ahead of myself, but they did finally win the big one. Trent and Chuck win the big one. Not just them, of course. Of course, Orange Cassidy was pretty much the main character of that match. Trent did take a lot of very dangerous looking bumps, but that was definitely brutal. And a reservation that a lot of people have with this type of a match is that it might not be as fun to watch live in the arena as it is at home on the screen, because there's only so much you can keep up with. There's only so many locations you can look at simultaneously without, the directors telling you what's more important than what's to look at. And a lot of the times there's obstructed vision and that kind of stuff. And with how huge of a stadium Wembley is, that was definitely a valid concern. And from where I was sitting, I can tell you that it was a very nice, smooth, convenient match to watch. Like, it was not in any way uncomfortable. It was not in any way, oh, what are they doing? I don't know. I can't see what's happening. Not once really have I thought that. And just like any other Stadium Stampede match, it was an absolute chaos in the best way possible, and that's exactly what I love about wrestling. And it's always great when your favorites win a big match like that, and when they were walking away after, you could see that, again, it's an absolute core memory. It's an absolute peak of a wrestler's career to win a match like that in a stadium like Wembley. So it was an absolute delight from start to finish. I'm definitely heavily biased, but it was just an absolutely incredible match. Then we had the four-way match for the AEW World Women's Championship. Saraya versus the reigning champion Hikaru Shida versus Toni Storm versus Britt Baker, DMD.
Amy's first, Saraya. I'm really hoping she takes that belt. Yeah. She deserves it, especially like in a home country. So let's go, Saraya.
And obviously seeing Saraya coming back home as well, you know what I mean? Seeing her back on her home turf, can't wait for that as well.
Toni Storm for my NXT.
Yeah, exactly, Toni Storm, so yeah.
And like I was saying, that was definitely the night of her life for Saraya, and she did talk about it at the press conference with such awe, with such appreciation, with such happiness.
You don't understand that you're walking down the ramp and just seeing a sea of people, and it's just like it never ends either. You're like, oh my gosh. And the fact that it's Wembley Stadium, again, in my home country, it's really, really cool to see, because being in Wembley and everyone just assuming we weren't going to do even quarter of it. And then within a couple of days, there was over 70,000. It just felt so good. And the fact that we, you know, got over 80, 81, 85.
Paid. 81 paid. There were like 90,000 people approximately in the building. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's absolutely bananas. So just like actually trying to take it in, and it's really difficult to take it in as well. You're just like, oh my gosh, it's the most amazing experience of my life. And it's definitely right there in the top of my favorite moments and favorite championship, 100%. It's just a dream come true, and I'm so thankful, and thank you, Toni. So
thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Congratulations. You earned it, champ.
You. Thank you.
Starting from her entrance to the Queen, We Will Rock You, which absolutely had Wembley on its feet and absolutely had everyone behind her. That was such a moment for Saraya. That was definitely the biggest moment of her career, winning the title in front of an 81,000 crowd of people, and with her family by her side. Just an absolutely beautiful moment. It was a great match, and it did plant some seeds for future happenings. We did see a falling out between Saraya and Toni Storm, and of course Hikaru Shida showcased herself amazingly also. And then Britt Baker, I'm really happy to see her in the title picture again, because she's a former champion. She's one of the greatest champions in AEW's history for sure. But it was definitely absolutely from start to finish Saraya's moment, and it was absolutely beautiful to witness, and it was absolutely beautiful to see the love that she'd received from her family, from the fans, from the company, and the way she was so grateful for it at the press conference. She also did mention that she is writing a book, and she was waiting for a big moment to kind of end book number 1 on, and that was that big moment. Then we had the Coffin Match. Darby Allin and Sting versus Swerve Strickland and Christian, who, contrary to popular belief, is not actually the TNT champion.
Keep the noise down while I conduct my business.
We got an absolutely grand entrance for Sting. Also, the old school WCW era Metallica absolutely had the stadium on their feet, also with lights in the air and just an absolutely electric reaction. And a coffin match is a type of match that just can't not be absolutely brutal. There were so many near finishes. There were so many moments where we would question, like, can these people even go anymore? And then they would continue on. And Darby Allin and Sting came out on top to the absolute delight of the crowd. It was an absolutely brutal match. And Darby Allin is one of those performers where he just has no regard for his own safety, for his body, destroys himself to destroy the opponent, and that's exactly what happened. And it's incredible that we also still get to see Sting wrestle in our lifetime and in such a huge stadium and such a huge show. It was just a beautiful moment and an incredible match. Then we had Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay, and when one of my friends asked me whether I liked this match, I answered, this was Will Ospreay's night. And it for sure was. You could just tell how important it was for him being from the UK and being considered largely one of the best wrestlers in the world and getting to go against a legend like Chris Jericho.
I am looking forward to Jericho and Ospreay. It should be really good. I was at the Rev Pro Wrestling Show last night, so
Showed up.
yeah, so they really set the tone. I love the promo they did on Dynamite, so it was really cool. But I would have to say that though, but looking forward to the card in general, man. It's gonna be a great time.
And who do you think is winning that one? Hometown boy.
And Chris Jericho. Beat it with Ospreay. Sorry about
Sorry about that. We're not British here, so
Sorry.
And Chris Jericho did stand his ground and did put up a fight, of course, because he's an absolute veteran. He has this immense experience in wrestling, and he's still extremely agile for how long of a career he's had. But Will Ospreay was absolutely charged, electrified. He was going to win that match. There was no other way. And at a Rev Pro show the night before, Chris Jericho did attack Will Ospreay in an attempt to weaken him before that match. That did not work. Even if it did work, I think Will Ospreay would have won on just the pure energy of the crowd at this point. He's just so loved. He was so well accepted. He was rooted for so hard that it was impossible for Will Ospreay to lose that match. And it was just such a great moment for him to experience. Definitely, like I said, again, like for a lot of wrestlers who are on the show, definitely a peak moment in his career and just an absolutely incredible experience for him, I'm sure. So he more than deserves this. And at the press conference, Tony Khan was asked about whether AEW has a working relationship with Rev Pro, and he did say that they have a nice, pleasant relationship. Obviously, we see a lot of talent exchange, and Saraya's brother actually wrestles for Rev Pro, and apparently it's been in the talks for him to be featured on AEW to some extent. So it's always great to see AEW work with smaller promotions, local promotions, which I'm not saying Rev Pro is a small promotion. It is not. But it is smaller than AEW and is definitely benefiting from working with AEW, which is wonderful to see.
I really like Andy a lot, and I've attended Rev Pro, and I've worked with them, and I've tried to feature their clips in the show. So I would say, yeah, we absolutely have a working relationship with Andy and Rev Pro. You know, we're both great partners to New Japan Pro Wrestling, I believe. I've attended a lot of Rev Pro even before there was an AEW. I consider Andy a friend, and I like to help out my friends in the wrestling business. For Saraya to have family there, for us to have so many people that are a part of AEW or people to have a pipeline to AEW, I think it's a great thing. We've definitely talked about that potentially, and I think Saraya's family, I'd love to have them involved. They were obviously involved in the show tonight, and she's part of a great wrestling family. It was great to get her family involved in the show. So whether it's here in England or America or anywhere, your family's always welcome, and that's it's a good thought.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I just noticed that Zach's gonna be coming over in a couple of months, so hopefully we can bring him to a couple of shows and see where it goes. Who knows? But we're happy for him.
I think it's a very great idea.
Yeah, thank you.
Then we had the trios match, the House Rules match. House of Black versus the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, who is back again. And the Acclaimed did pick the stipulation of no holds barred, anything goes. And as dominant as House of Black have been, the way that the Acclaimed have been on a roll, the way that it's so emotionally charged for them, with Billy Gunn leaving, then coming back to help them finally win the gold, and the way that the crowds absolutely adore them and connect with them so incredibly. They emerged on top. They are the new champions. We have the new championship design with the scissors and everything, and it's just great. It's good fun. Was I happy to see House of Black lose the titles? No, but maybe it was time. Maybe they finally found opponents strong enough to dethrone them. And they did show respect after the match, and they did acknowledge, I would think, that the Acclaimed deserve it. And then we had, finally, the main event. MJF, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, the reigning, defending AEW World Heavyweight Champion, defending his title against Adam Cole, Bebe, a rematch that was promised, that was given, not just a match, but the match, the way MJF said it. And it was just an absolute novel of a match. The crowd was expecting one of them to turn on the other, of course. So at every turn, at every glance, at every questionable moment, the crowd was just holding its breath, just praying for a good outcome. And there were so many temptations that Adam Cole had to go through in that match. We had Roderick Strong interfere. We had Adam Cole consider so many times cheating, consider so many times hitting MJF with the title, or doing something else that he would probably later regret. But we also can't take away from the resilience of MJF and from the way that we've seen MJF's character development, because MJF had absolutely considered going rogue a couple times too, and he just absolutely did not. We saw ultimately this beautiful friendship persevere through that match, and MJF, fair and square, absolutely clean, absolutely deserved, emerged on top. And when I keep saying that MJF is at his very young age and at his point in his career is already an absolute superstar, I am also saying that MJF is a legend caliber wrestler that he will be in the future. MJF is an absolute phenomenon, an absolute superstar, homegrown, pretty much AEW talent, and going on par with the veteran that Adam Cole is. And it was such a feel-good finish to the show. No one betrayed anyone. Everything is fine. Friendship wins. MJF wins. The crowd is delighted. The crowd absolutely loves MJF, again, going back. And MJF's family was there, and his mom was at the press conference, and he did get asked whether he loves his mom, and he gave a pretty interesting response.
Do you love your mother?
That is a loaded question. I think she's kind of a bitch, and she's always constantly, no offense, Mom, she's in the room. She's always constantly trying to draw attention to herself. And frankly, if there's one thing about me is I'm a super humble guy. I never try to make it all about me. So I don't know where that is, because I didn't get that. I didn't get that at all. I mean, I think we can all agree I'm humble, right? I'm like the most humble guy in the world. So I don't understand her at all. The apple fell very far away from the tree. And I just wish she would stop making it about herself all the time, because I would never do that. By the way, world champion main event won tonight with my best friend. No big deal. Next question.
But yeah, it was an absolutely delightful finish to the show. I literally have no bones to pick with it. I think it was absolutely amazing, and absolutely multifaceted, layered, beautifully told story, and a beautiful match. I won't waste you guys' time describing it to you, because if you haven't seen it, you should just see it. If you have seen it, you absolutely know what I'm talking about. This is wrestling. This is how you tell a story. This is how you keep the crowd in your clutch throughout the whole match. Just absolutely beautiful. 5 out of 5 stars, 10 out of 10 hearts, whatever. If you're into rating systems, this is just whatever maximal amount of things out of whatever things. It was just amazing. And of course, MJF and Adam Cole were an absolute delight at the press conference.
Speaking of your partner,
yeah.
Speaking of the co-holder of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship.
Mr. Break My Neck. Hello.
What a classic match.
Hey,
Ladies
my
and
neck's
gentlemen.
pretty sore too.
I know. We're both pieces of shit. We're trying to win.
Here's both halves of the biggest main event in pro wrestling history, ladies and gentlemen. MJF and Adam Cole, co-holders of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship right here.
Whoever thought I'd be in Ring of Honor? But no, it's cool.
No, thank you. Thank you.
You dragged me into it.
I would like to show you guys some more highlights of it. We saw Pentagon show up and challenge Orange Cassidy for the international title, that Orange Cassidy, of course, later proceeded to lose to Jon Moxley.
That's him speaking. Me speaking is, oh God. There you
Tonight,
Yep.
you wake up your new challenger. And you know what? This Wednesday in Dynamite, I make orange juice. You know what? Zero.
All right, I'm gonna sit back down.
We did have Tony Khan talk about numbers and talk about the attendance.
At over 81,000 paid, that makes the largest paid attendance in the history of the pro wrestling business. It is a huge milestone. There have been countless pro wrestling shows all over the world, and this is the first time on record that we can find anyone has sold over 81,000 tickets. There were also several thousand comps, as well as hospitality, and with the staff and everybody in the building, we'd estimate about 90,000 people in Wembley Stadium today. The original All-In 5 years ago was the largest independent pro wrestling show of all time. Today, 5 years later, AEW All In is the biggest pro wrestling show of all time, period.
And of course, we had a new pay-per-view announced.
And I can announce here for the first time that on October 1st at the Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, it will be the first ever Wrestle Dream. Wrestle Dream, 1 year anniversary of the passing of wrestling's greatest dreamer.
So on that wonderful note, like I said, start planning your trip now. And it was an absolutely incredible show. And I cannot wait for AEW to do it again. But for now, this was an absolutely historic event. And it was an absolute honor to be, to any extent, a part of it.
Why do you love AEW? Why are you here?
Man, you know, AEW, it just started, so watch it.
You know what? It's like I say, obviously it's been called the alternative, and I hate that word, the alternative. It's just another wrestling company, but it's excitement. You know what I mean? You get to see other people you don't get a chance to see, and stuff like that. The faster pace, the action, it's entertaining. It's everything. it's everything. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just completely entertaining, just like wrestling is. You know what I mean?
Because I've not wrestled since Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I think that MJF is got everybody over like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, I think he's the biggest star that's elevated wrestling. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
If you're a wrestling fan, it'll grab you differently. You know what I mean? So that's it.
Believe you supported one of these, baby.
And there you go. That's another reason as well. You can never beat AEW and any other wrestling. If you look at the fans, there's no other fans like it. There's none other. The love, the passion, and everything. And yeah, you can't beat it. You never can.
Because they're treating wrestling as something new and fresh, but they're a bit stagnant. Whereas this is like giving a chance for new and upcoming wrestlers to be able to have their voice, and they don't always just go for the bigger body types. They sometimes really push smaller people that are really, really good professional wrestlers. Cool. High five. Bam.
So thank you AEW, thank you Tony Khan, and thank you guys for watching this. So give this video a like if you had a good time, subscribe, tap the notification bell to never miss an upload, and until next time, goodbye.
Scissor me, daddy.
Yeah! Would you like to get some scissors?
Absolutely.
Yeah.